Hey, what's up guys, TheJordude here, back again with another Shadowverse tier making video. It's kind of like a tradition now that I do these. I just got home from drinking, so my head's a little bit here and there, but we gotta get this video out here because this mini expansion will be coming out, or it will already be out by the time that this video gets posted. So by the time you're watching this video, I might already be wrong about my predictions of these cards. But yeah, I wanted to just go over like all the cards that are coming out from the mini expansion for Storm Over Rivayle. And yeah, just kind of tier them up. So just like always, these are just purely my predictions and my opinions. As we've seen in the past, I have been very wrong about some cards, but I've also been very accurate about some cards. So take this video with a little bit of a grain of salt. And yeah, so let's get into it. Breaking down the tiers, the way I broke it down this time. S tier, basically really good cards that we'll probably see 3 of played in either multiple decks or like the top tier decks in the meta. A tier is basically strong cards that we'll see play in meta decks, so either in tier 1 or tier 2 decks. B tier is basically like decent cards, like they're going to be seen played in meta decks, either tier 1, tier 2, or even tier 3 decks, but they're not going to be like as significant. They're not like on their own super amazing cards, and you might just see them as 2-ofs maybe in certain decks. For the C tier, basically these are just weak cards that I think might see play in really niche or meme decks, but they're not going to be like very impactful in like the actual competitive meta. And then D tier are just cards that I think are bad and they won't see much or any play at all. So yeah, let's see. It got shuffled up. The first card we're talking about is Radical Gunslinger. Let's go look at the card. Okay, so the Radical Gunslinger. So this card supports Rally. It's a 1 play point for Bane, which is actually not bad. Like a 1 play point 1/1 Bane. Some classes don't have like easy removals to it, so the Bane could actually just be really annoying. And yeah, a 1 play point card that gives you a permanent leader effect. Just having leader effects banked up is just always nice to have. Now this leader effect is kind of niche, like you have to get amulets out, so ideally you're probably going to be playing a deck that's playing a lot of amulets like the Dutiful Steeds and stuff, and it adds to your rally count. So like once you hit like 15 on your rally count, that's pretty much all that you really matter. We have seen like aggro rally sword decks in the past, which have done okay, but I mean, with the nerf to the world, it definitely helps out aggro decks such as Rally Sword. So being able to get out maybe like a Fearin, or maybe you get your front guard generals out sooner because your rally count is higher, it could be relevant, and this could be like a pretty useful card in the future too. I'm just talking about these cards in the next upcoming meta though, just to keep that in mind. But definitely a card that has some long-lasting value. Going to be able, of course, really suited for a rally deck, 1 play point, really easy to fit into your curves. And yeah, the evolve effect is also pretty good, just to deal 3 damage to an enemy follower and you get speed on the board. So I'm not too sure how well you can mash together rally plus these amulet cards, but maybe an aggro sword deck could come out from this, and maybe this card could also work with the legendary card on Wallford, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, definitely there's some synergies with this card, and yeah, for that reason I put this card as B, because I think it's decent and it will see some play like in Rally Sword, but I don't think Rally Sword is going to be like the top tier deck in the upcoming expansion, or meta, so I'm putting it as B tier. Next off we have Preserve Truth. Okay, so Preserve Truth, when you look at this card, is like, wow, if you spell boost this card 50 times, you could win the match. Now, to actually hit 50 spell boosts is like really hard. Like, I don't even know if it's possible, because you know how you get like the Runios out and you get 10 spell boosts on your Runios? Like, that takes a long time, even if you have Runio in your opening hand. So to get this to get 50 times, like, you're probably dreaming. Honestly, why I think this card is really good though is that it's a 1 play point spell card in Rune, which you could just play with no condition, and 1 play point spells could actually equal to like, I don't know, like 5 play points in gaining an advantage. Like if you have 5 spell boost cards in your hand and you're spell boosting them, all of them, with just 1 play point, that's already insane value. That's why like Insight is such a strong card to have when you have a handful of spell boost cards, you just have so much value at that one play point. So even if you just play this for one play point, you don't activate any of the effects, you still spell boost your entire hand. I think that's really good. And spell boost rune has been picking up, I think, getting stronger since the latest patch. I'm not too sure why all these rune cards are trying to banish cards from your own deck, but I mean, if you hit 10, you can banish a random enemy follower, that's not bad. 20, I don't think you ever really hit. But like, yeah, so 10 is like, sometimes you hit. But honestly, I think this card is actually just really strong just because it's a one play point spell that's going to be able to spell boost your whole hand. And you could cheese out stuff a lot more, like your Shukigamis and all of that stuff. So for that reason, I've actually put this card in S tier. Just because I think it's an amazing card on its own. Fits really well with spell boost deck. And spell boost has been on the rise on the meta recently. So S tier for me. So Paladin of Clemency, when you first look at this card, it is pretty obvious that it suits, you would think it suits well with Control Haven, because 2 play points, you get restore 1 defense to your leader, you get to trigger your Holy Sanctuaries. Now, yeah, that's true, but on its own, when it's doing that, 2 play points, 1/3, you get to proc your Holy Sanctuaries. I guess that's not bad. The evolve effect is like pretty mediocre, you have to draw a card, that's whatever. And hands 5, that's like, this card kind of wants you to be using the hands 5, because you get to recycle it, you trigger Holy Sanctuaries, and then you get the Iron Maiden out. But when you think about it, when you're playing Control Haven, usually you want to have 2 Holy Sanctuaries on your board. So like, if you play this card and summons an Amulet, and you have 2 Holy Sanctuaries, you don't even get 2 Tigers out, if you proc for Tigers. And like, while this card is good for Control Haven, like your board you just have too much board issues, I think. And so I don't think Control Haven really needs this card. You could just play like more scriptures, the other 2 play point, banish spell. So like, I just think this card is not really needed in Control Haven. Control Haven will still be a strong deck, and it won't even need to play this card. However, I do think some people will be trying to test this card out for some reason, and they might do well with it, I don't know. For that reason, I am putting it in the C tier, because I think it's pretty mediocre. Like, yeah, it goes into Control Haven, and that's about it, but like, you just play it for the 2 play points to proc your Sanctuary, and I just think the natural stuff does better than that. So next off, we have Isis. Accelerate 3, Reanimate 3, if you're more evil, Reanimate 5. That's pretty good. I mean, like, this Reanimate 3 thing with Shadow has been so reoccurring. There's so many cards to Reanimate 3. So this card could be used in either aggro Shadow, or in like the more mid-rangey Shadow with the trios. The fanfare effect is interesting. It basically just blows up the entire board, I would say. Like, your followers are not going to survive the -4. If it does survive the -4, like if you have multiple followers that survive it, then yeah, you can evolve it and then re-give it its stats. But it's basically just like a board AoE for Shadow, which I think is pretty good. Like, Shadow doesn't really have a board AoE, so they were struggling against more aggressive decks that were like mid-range Shadow, for example, or Trio Shadow was, or should I say Grimoire Shadow? Grimoire Shadow was kind of struggling to aggro decks because they just went wide, couldn't really do anything about it, then it just got smoked down. So Isis definitely helps with that, and it helps with the game plan as well of Reanimating 3. So I think it's a pretty solid card, and I'm going to put it into the A tier, because yeah, I think it fills a gap that Shadow needed with not having AoE, and it fits really well with the rest of the deck. So it's strong, we'll see play it in the meta, because Shadow has like a couple of meta decks which will use it well. So next up we have Encounter of the Deep. This card I just think is really mediocre. Like, Dragon has the 2 play point spell, they draw 2 of their most expensive Dragoncraft cards from their deck, and I think that's just better than Encounter from the Deep. Encounter of the Deep, like, maybe you could play it, like some people were talking about Jerva Dragon, like Jerva Dragon, sure, you could use this card, I guess. It would help, lets you draw Jerva, lets you clear followers. If you're thinking about playing this in like a Phoenix Roost Dragon, it's not really, like 3 play points you get draw 1 dragon, maybe it gets reduced from the Roost, so I guess that's fine. And give this Storm, I mean Ernst already has Storm like half the time anyways. DDD gain Storm is okay, it's like, it's a 6/6, so it's not killing your opponent, but yeah, I mean some people I think will try to play this card, but I just don't think it's too good. Like, Roost Dragon didn't really need this to get better. I felt like if they need to kill their opponent with big dragons, they were still able to do that anyways. The problem with like Phoenix Roost Dragon was that it was just a little bit fragile in the early game. So and decks were somehow able to just outlast it. And I guess this kind of helps in the fact that you get to have more gas with the deck, and you get more burst damage with the Stormfallers. So I guess I could be seen playing in Phoenix Roost. Overall, I would say it's a C-rated card. It's pretty just meh, and we'll see niche play. Pretty much just see play in Phoenix Roost Dragon. So next off we have Lethal Almiraj. This card, like, it's... So you play it in like Amulet Haven. I guess you could play it in Control Haven sometimes. It doesn't heal you, so it doesn't really work as well in Control Haven, but it can essentially kill 2 Fallers for 5 play points, which is alright. Sometimes they could do face damage. It's just that 5 play points, it's got pretty low health. Maybe it could, it could do some decent amount of damage, but I just don't really see a good fit with this card in any decks. Like, Amulet Haven is already not that good because it's really inconsistent. This doesn't help with the consistency of Amulet Haven, and that deck is pretty slow anyways. It doesn't really need the burn damage. I guess the strikes could be nice at clearing 2 Fallers, but yeah, it's just like, it will see some play, I think, but it's just going to see play in more niche decks and won't make too much of an impact in the meta, in my opinion. So that's why I have this card in the C tier, and it's about here. The order doesn't really matter too much. Next off we have Philosopher of Death. Alright, so Philosopher of Death, yeah, this card's a banger card, I think. Its crystallized effect is really good because you get to just be able to evolve your reanimates. So like if you're just playing aggro Shadow, for example, you get to reanimate your 3/3 and it could evolve. It's pretty good. Like, you help fight for board because the deck win and lost board was kind of having problems. Like, you had to just send everything face, and a lot of times you use your evil points on your Stormfallers and just send them face. So like, the deck burns through your evils pretty quickly, and it didn't have any ways of getting more evils. This helps out with that. If you're going to play like a Grimoire Shadow as well, or a mid-range Shadow, this could also be okay. Then if you just play it for the fanfare though, it's also pretty good. Like, summon a Philosopher of Death, and then both of them will have the effect at the end of your turn summoning a Philosopher of Death. So for 9 play points, you get 4 5/5s with Ward, if I have that correct, which is pretty nutty, I think. Like, the fact that they like, if they didn't have Ward, then it's strong, but it's not as strong as having Ward now. So Ward is stopping a lot of OTK potentially. Just having 4 big wards, and like, how did your opponent deal with it? I don't know. So I think this is a really strong card. Is it S tier? It's really on the border of S tier, I think. Like, I think it's totally fine to put it as an S tier card, but for me I have it on A tier on the top. Because yeah, I think it's borderline S tier, and I think it's totally fair if you want to put it in the S tier, but for me I'm just going to put it in the A tier. Next off is the Committed Conductor. Accelerate 3, summon a bike, put Puppet in your hand. It's like, now Puppet Portal has been pretty good recently. If you saw my last video, Puppet Portal is actually very strong, but it doesn't need this card. Like, this card is just kind of slow, really clunky. Accelerate, like, if it was Accelerate 2 maybe, or maybe even at 2, I still wouldn't really want to play this card. I'm glad that they're adding more puppets into the deck, into the pool though, because Puppet Portal on its own was lacking a lot of actually puppet cards. So yeah, that's kind of nice, but the fanfare recovers 7, so it's like 1 play point 3/7 on turn 8. It's still pretty slow, and to get to turn 8 and this is just in your hand, it's really mediocre in my opinion. I just don't really like this card at all, to be honest. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much, but it is our first card here that we put into the D tier. Next off, we have Wallford. So Wallford is a very interesting card. First of all, it can evolve for 0 evil points, no condition about that. Evolves only, the evolution stat only gains a +1 though. It won't really see much. It doesn't need to be in Evil Sword because they have so many free evils anyways that this is just actually more clunky than it is useful in my opinion. But for its evolve effect, if all fallers in your deck are officer fallers, so you have to run a swordcraft exclusive deck, and you get a +2/+2 buff. I mean, they have Pompous Princess in the game, which doesn't really see aim play, and the difference of one stat maybe could make a difference, but the condition for this is too restricting, I think. Like, you can't play Evolve. Like, you can't even play that Rally Sword deck, actually, because it wants you to be playing more amulets, and those amulet fallers, like the neutral ones, aren't even officers. So, like, how do you build a deck with Wallford in it? And is that payoff even worth it? I don't think so. I think Evolve Sword is just better. I think even just an aggro Rally Sword is just better. So yeah, so Wallford, I put it at the D tier as well. So this is the card I revealed. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go check it out, because if you comment on that video and also follow the Twitter post, which I have linked in that video, you could win a giveaway for some World Uprooted IRL card packs. So make sure you guys go check out that video and enter in the giveaway. Giveaway ends on Monday. But yeah, Fiery Flowering. What can I say about this card? I think it's strong. It's definitely a good card. I already talked up so much about this in my review video, so just go check that out. I'm not even going to talk about it more, because I already talked about all the possibilities you could do with this card, and yeah, my thoughts about it. So basically, I'm putting Fairy Flowering into the B tier because I think it's a strong card. However, it does require you to be playing in Accelerate deck, which is kind of restricting. And yeah, it could be kind of clunky, so you probably only play it as a 2-of. So I think it's decent. We'll see some play, but it's not like a strong card, and we'll see a lot play in the middle. Okay, so this card is kind of like a Holy Sanctuary for Blood. Lets you use all your blood cards without having those difficult conditions for it to meet. So first of all, it's only countdown 3, which kind of sucks. If it was a permanent amulet, it'd be nice, but only countdown 3. Vengeance, I can't think of any Vengeance cards on the top of my head that's really good at the moment. Avarice, there's some decent Avarice cards, but is the payoff worth running this amulet into your deck? Debatable. Wrath, so Wrath, there's a lot of Wrath cards. A lot of them have good conditions, but like Wrath, some people have been telling me that Wrath is pretty fast, and you can usually hit Wrath by turn 5, turn 6. And so, like, if you're playing this on turn 4, like, you're getting your Wrath like 1 turn earlier or something. It's like not even that much quicker. So I don't really think this card is that good, because right now the only blood deck that people are playing is the aggro Ball of Blood, if I'm thinking about the meta correctly. So like, Ball of Blood doesn't need this card, and the other possible decks like Wrath Blood doesn't need this card, and that's about it. So yeah, we just don't need this card. Now, to be fair, this card might see better play in the future, but like I said earlier, we're not talking about future expansions, we're talking about this upcoming meta. So where did I put this card? I put this card in the B tier, but I think it's actually just C tier. Order wise, maybe it's like this. So Blood Soaked Archdemon. Now this card really excites me. First of all, it's just is an insight for blood, but it also lets you draw a card for. It lets you draw more cards for that 3 play point legendary for blood for Storm. Gain the Storm quicker. It gets you a ping with the Corruption. So this card is actually playable in Bowel Blood and in any kind of blood, actually. Like, it's just a decent card. It's just 1 play point, draw a card, and then it's not bad that you put it back in your deck, because if you keep playing this card, now, like, it reduces the cost. So even if you reduce the cost, maybe you reduce it like 3. Maybe you play this card 3 times, right? And reduces to 6, and it goes down to 5 play points. Even if 5 play points is too expensive for you for some reason, 5 play points for 11, by the way, like, you could just play another card, have like 3 play points left, and then use it to accelerate again, and just put it back in your deck again. So like, this card is just, and then once you do have the time where you want to play it, it's an 11/11 with Rush, and it's not going to die if the Faller is not destroyed. Like, it's 11/11. It's not going to die when it trades to a Faller. It recovers its defense fully, and then it does 5 damage to enemy leader. Like, this card's just, I don't know, it's just like an insanely static card. It's not even overly costed because you just have, like, if you accelerate twice, it's like 7 play points. Oh my god, my phone's ringing, but 7 play points, and even if that's too expensive at your current turn, you just put it back in your deck. So I think this card is like really strong, and the fact that it could work in your Ball Blood especially is really good as well. So either you're going to be playing like slower controller decks or whatever blood you're playing, or you're playing the aggro Ball Blood, this card is going to be played. So yeah, I think this card is amazing personally, and we'll see play in higher tier decks. Higher tier decks is kind of debatable because Blood doesn't have like a high tier deck at the moment, but maybe this card can make a push. And so yeah, it's kind of tied on the S tier. Okay, so next up we have Sylvia. Not really much to talk about this card. So the decks, you think about Portal, right? They have Artifact Portal. Doesn't really need this card. You just make Analyze Ancient Artifact 3/1 Rush, just as good as Sylvia essentially. Yeah, you don't really need extra evils or anything. And so it's not really impactful in Artifact Portal. The Puppet Portal, like the more aggressive one, yeah, I could see it being played kind of. It's just that the condition of Resonance is kind of annoying. Like sometimes you won't be able to play this card well. But if you're playing in the Puppet Portal and you're just making your board big, buffing them all up by Fear, it could be an okay card. I don't know if you need it though. And yeah, OTK Portal wouldn't need this card at all. So I think this card, I mean, it could actually be played in OTK Portal because it's just a faller that could trade into something, and then since it recovers play points, you can still float. So yeah, I mean, it could see some play, but it doesn't really need it. So I think this card is weak. Might see some niche play in some artifact decks, but it's not going to be really impactful. Not really going to shake up the deck too much. So next off we have the Husbando of this mini expansion 11, the Forest Legendary. It's kind of cool. Like a lot of people are hyped on this card. I'm not actually too excited about this card though, to be honest, because yeah, 1 play point, destroy a faller, 2 defense or less. It's okay. It's pretty good actually. The countdown. The problem I have with this card, like yeah, it gives you infinite value because the last word just re-adds it to your hand. The problem is there's a countdown 3, like, and there's no other way of removing that. I mean, you can bounce back 11s into your hand, but then it won't really count for the fanfare. So like you have to wait for the countdown to break. So if you're playing like a aggro force or a Luxie force, it's just too long to wait because it's going to take up a board space. Like especially in Luxie force, the combo variant, board space is super important, and so you really don't want this sitting on your board. For aggro force, the board space doesn't matter as much, but it's just really slow, doesn't really synergize well. The way that this card would probably fit in is in like an accelerate deck, which has a lot of control elements, so you don't mind waiting. And then later on, yeah, you could play this card and deal 5 damage to the leader. It'll evolve. You could do like 9 damage. It's 14 damage if you combo it with the Fairy Flowering. So yeah, I think this card, if seen any play, it would definitely be with Accelerate Force. So Accelerate Force is actually looking like it got pretty decent support from the mini expansion. But yeah, speaking of 11 itself, I think 11 is definitely like an A tier card. It's not S tier, but it's definitely strong. We'll see play in meta. But we'll have to see how Accelerate Force comes out from this mini expansion, because they got 2 good cards for their deck, but is it enough? That's the question. I think it could be enough, especially because Accelerate Force was just missing some burst damage, and 11 plus Fairy Flowering does provide that, but it is still quite slow. So I think Georgie's is a strong card. Like, there's so much ramp in Dragon now. Like, you're going to hit 10 play points, and it's going to deal 4 damage, so that's pretty good. Like, if you're playing like the Natura Roost Dragon or whatever, then yeah, it fits in pretty well, I think, with the deck. And the evolve ability is pretty strong. Like, there's not much to say about this card. I think it just fits well with Dragon. Dragon at the moment has a lot of ramp, so it could support this card quite decently. Kind of speed through this a little bit because this video is getting a bit long, but yeah, I put this as an A tier card. Maybe behind the Isis. So Goblin Queen, I think this card could be played in like more aggro decks that, like Rally Sword 2 could play this because you're adding so many fallers into your cheap fallers that you could play. But yeah, this card, aside from like aggro decks or rally decks, I don't really see any fit with this. It could fit in maybe the puppet portal as well. Actually, it could really fit into the puppet portal because like you just get cheap goblins you can spam out, and like the Goblin King, 4 play points. Like turn 4, you play this, you play Goblin Queen, and then you play Goblin, evolve Goblin Queen, and then you have a 5/5 plus this 5/5 with ward. That's actually really strong on turn 4. Actually, that's actually really strong. The more that I think about it, so yeah. It just depends which decks could really just splash this card in. This card is definitely splashable in more mid-range aggro decks. But yeah, it's actually better than what I was thinking about earlier, now that I talk about it more. So I'm actually going to put in the B tier, because I think this card could actually do some work. Alright, so the last card is Transcendence Simulacrum. In terms of rune, like, the only rune deck is, like, I haven't played Rune all expansion because I just don't have the legendaries. I don't have Macia or what, the Cowboy, and I don't have Vincent, so I just have not touched Rune at all. But I know that Spell Boost Rune has been picking up, which is the main Rune deck, and this doesn't really support Cowboy or Spell Boost Rune too much. Like, Spell Boost Rune could play it because you get Golem Summonings, which is just a spell, which is a pretty cheap spell that's also just not bad. So I think this card might be played in Spell Boost Rune, but I don't know how good it will be. Based on my first impression, I don't think it's going to be that good. But yeah, time will tell. But yeah, time will tell how this card will shape up. I actually put in the B tier because I think it could possibly do some work in Spell Boost Rune, but like I said, I just don't have too much experience with Rune this expansion, so it's kind of hard to say. But yeah, this is my tier list. So if you guys have any different opinions, or if you agree with what my thoughts were, or if you just have no idea what I was talking about all video, let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, and if the mini expansion is already out and you guys have been jamming decks, let me know what decks you guys have been playing, what have you been seeing is strong. And yeah, if you want to see some more deck and gameplays, more of these new cards, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.